So if it's okay, we'll start off with Hannah. Is that all right?
Which Hannah?
Hannah, sorry, I'm just seeing now you've both logged in. Hannah Miller, please.
Hi, I'm Hannah Miller. Actually, our group is all here because the three of us were directing. So it's me, Hannah, and then Abby.
Yes, and Abby.
Hello.
And the other Hannah. And the three of us together, we made the short film The Tale of Edgar, Hare, which was an adaptation of the short story by Edgar Allan Poe of The Telltale Heart, which we adapted to breathe some new life into, and it kind of turned into a Beatrix Potter tale gone wrong. So it's a short bit about our film.
Brilliant. Well then, as the team of you, what were the highs and lows, I suppose, of getting the film made, and how did you work collaboratively on it?
Well, I feel like some of the highs were definitely like once we'd got because we made it in stop motion, once we'd got all of our all the puppets and all the sets made, really starting to get into the animating and seeing all the shots really start to come together. That was such a real high for us of when you could start editing all the bits of animation we'd done and seeing our film as we'd imagined it start to really come to fruition. I think some of the lows when we were really bogged down in pre-production of making the decisions about creatively how we're going to do it, and then having our puppets break on us several times. That was not fun. Doing some surgery mid animation was interesting. And then I think we had a couple of lows during post-production of editing together and then trying to find sound. But we found some lovely sound designers, so it's all good in the end.
Yeah, the other Hannah.
What were you saying? Sorry.
You're very welcome as well, Hannah. What predominantly then, did you sort of take responsibility for, and how did you lead with that as your role?
We all kind of worked on the film together. We all had our role in each part, especially in development, storyboarding. I think the one role that I predominantly took was probably set building, and Abby took the role of making the puppets, and Hannah, she took the role of producing the storyline and making sure that was a solid piece for us to work from as well. And then I think once we started production, we all kind of did it all together. We all made choices together. We had a decision to make. If we wanted to change it, we consulted each other. We pretty much did everything. And it worked really well.
Excellent. And Abigail, had you experience before then in making puppets for animation, or was this something that you were throwing in at the deep end?
I'd never really made any before. We made little white armatures, but aside from that, I'd never built anything on top of it. So it was quite a challenge, but it was a very good learning curve.
And did you finish it all before lockdown, or were you in the editing stages then over the last couple of months?
Well, around this time last year, we were making the film.
So yeah, we finished animating and editing the shots together before lockdown, but we didn't find a sound designer until mid-lockdown, and they did that during the lockdown. So
super. Brilliant. Well, thank you. That's great to get that insight, and we are delighted to be able to show the film as part of the shortlist in the animation category. So well done. Thanks a million. We'll go over to Sarah now. Hi, Sarah. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
No problem. And again, congratulations on being shortlisted. So, Sarah, if you can introduce your film and just tell us a little bit, about it, and I suppose the message that you want to get across from it and how it came to be, really.
Yeah, so my film is called Tenant, and it's basically about this girl who moves in to a new apartment with a kind of weird reclusive flatmate, and it's kind of based on, I lived in some pretty kind of weird places during college, had some kind of typical weird experiences with student accommodation. So I kind of took the feelings I had of just not belonging in this weird moldy place and threw it into the film and just kind of hyped up all that fear and kind of weird energy from student accommodation. So yeah.
Brilliant, which I'm sure lots of people can relate to, and
Yeah.
that's a sort of universal experience for lots of people who've been students. Great. And what challenges then, Sarah, if any, did you face getting the film made and produced?
I guess just like it was hard at the start to get into it, kind of getting the right like designs and stuff for exactly what I wanted to come across. Like I had a different character design for like the main character, and kind of changed that about like a quarter of the way in. So I just felt like it needed to kind of be a bit weirder to portray the kind of feelings I wanted to portray and stuff. But yeah, otherwise it was just really fun. Like I had some classmates help me out on it. It was good. It was fun.
And is animation filmmaking something you want to continue pursuing? Like, is this the area that you're sort of set on working in and developing your talents in?
Yeah, I actually just started a job as a junior animator in a company in Dublin. Yeah, I'm really enjoying that, and I definitely want to make more films in my spare time too. So hopefully I'll continue.
That's brilliant. Yes, well, Ireland certainly flies the flag as well for excellent animation production. So that is brilliant. Well done on that. Thanks a million. Okay. Jessica, hi, how are you? You're very welcome.
Hi, I'm good. I'm Jess. My short film is called Early Food Special, and it was my final project at uni. So it's about, I was inspired by the idea of grief and like how everyone feels differently towards it. And I wanted to make a stop motion film because you can do whatever you want in animation. You got that freedom of puppets. So I set it in like a greasy spoon cafe in London because there's like lots of those, and they're always like really gross, like sort of like student accommodation, but a place you pay to eat in, which isn't that nice. And I thought, what would it be like if there was a cafe specifically just for grieving? So it's kind of a weird place that no one really wants to go to, but you end up there and it's just, you don't really like it. It's also a place to have breakfast and a fry-up. So yeah, that was my film, and yeah, it was fun to make, hard but fun.
Excellent, yes, and well, the hard work has certainly paid off, so well done, and a very innovative and original idea as well, so I'm sure audiences will absolutely enjoy watching it and seeing your talent come through, so thank you. Thanks. Okay, over to Liam. Hello Liam, how are you keeping?
Hi, good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Good. Well, sure, just give us a little introduction on your film and again how it came to be and any challenges that you faced with it.
Okay, yes, my film's called Teratoma. It's a kind of unusual, surreal sort of film which came about during lockdown. Basically, I'm typically I do live action most of the time, but this time I went for animation just for something to do during lockdown. I wanted to teach myself.
Yeah.
So I'd made a couple of shorter ones, and then Teratoma was the kind of longer one. And it's about sort of the struggle, particularly at the moment, with valuing money over health and life. So I was kind of trying to take on some big themes at the first time round, but yeah, quite happy with it.
Well, that's certainly an achievement, especially if live action is what you have done in the past, and this is a new foray for you as such, and a brilliant challenge to set yourself during lockdown. So fantastic. Well, that's super, and it's great to be able to say then that you have, I suppose, pushed the boundaries of what your filmmaking has been up to now, and to create an animation and be shortlisted in the competition then. That's an extra well done. So brilliant. Thank you for making time to join us. Over then to Cameron. You're very welcome, Cameron. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Should I talk about two films or just one?
Well, in this category, yes, if you can chat about Regeneration.
Sure, yeah. It was I'm Cameron. I'm a second-year university student studying animation at UCA Farnham. And we made 2 films for second year, and the first one was Regeneration. It's like a cutout stop-motion multimedia film, and as the title suggests, it's about regeneration of particularly architecture and buildings, and like gentrification and all that stuff. And it's basically like all the architecture from like London and stuff like that, but the only difference is of course they have arms and legs, and it turns out to be like a Godzilla political thriller kind of little short film.
Sorry, is or was architecture something that you're quite interested in terms of, interweaving that into film?
Well, the the main inspiration actually came from just my trip to London. Sorry, I'm picking up a lot of noise at the moment.
Okay.
So the main, it's cool. So the main idea came from my trip to London, and I saw like these giant construction cranes looming over like glass corporate buildings, and I think that sparked an idea like a like Godzilla kind of monster like correlation. Hence why they're like the buildings are like monsters, and I think, but obviously that was just inspiration. The research is what really tied everything together, because I started researching about why does this happen in London and everywhere else? I suppose like it's happening in Farnham at the moment, like with expansion of like more buildings and stuff. A lot of political stuff, and it's really absurd. Like there's this concept called facades that I researched. I didn't really think about it too much until I started researching for the film. Facades are basically like, they would destroy like a historical building just so that they can build like a business building or flats or whatever, right? But the weird thing is that because they want to keep the image and the memory of it, they put like almost like a Halloween mask over the corporate building. So when you go inside, you're suddenly in this pristine, clean like front desk. But so it's really weird, because then people argue, okay, if you want to keep the image, why destroy a perfectly good historical building in the first place when it could still be used? I understand. I of course, there's a little bit of a gray area. I understand if buildings have to be, renewed so that way they don't break down, of course. But I think it's a bit absurd that they have to destroy what was already good enough purely for like business or political reasons. Yeah.
And film is an excellent way of exploring that as well, and really getting that across.
Thank you.
And also with that as well, like you do see so many buildings in cities and towns now that are empty units and empty buildings, but then I suppose the positive side too, sometimes they put up a facade to make it aesthetically, nicer for the area, even if there's nothing going on in the building. But yeah, that's a very interesting take and a very innovative and original topic as well to explore through film. So well done. Thanks, Cameron.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hi, Kristen, how are you? Thanks for joining us. I think you just need to unmute your microphone. Yep, that's it.
I just noticed my name was under. My mom just used my Zoom.
Yes,
so
it
my name's
should be Emma. It's Emma then, yeah. Because I was double checking there. Yes, that's great. Emma Jordan, that's you.
Yes.
Brilliant.
My mom. Yeah. Sorry, I joined a bit late, so it's just the university and the film, or?
Yeah, well, first of all, congratulations on being shortlisted in the competition at Cinemagic Young Filmmaker. And yeah, we're just introducing each other's, each of your films, and a little bit about the film and how it came to be, really, and what inspired you.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so I made this during my last year of university at Arts University Bournemouth with a team of 4 other people, and I co-wrote it with Jack Eagleton, and we wanted something that was sort of in the likes of like Quay Brothers and Jan Spinkmeyer, but maybe a bit more modernized and kind of trying to have our own style. I remember us like wanting to use old antique dolls, but also kind of trying to stray a little bit away from that and do something a bit like have our own kind of original take on it. And the film is kind of, the themes are sort of around growing up and overcoming fear, and the visuals were more related to like adolescence and puberty, but I think the overall theme is more just about like overcoming fear in general. And yeah, and it's kind of funny because over the process of the film, obviously you're faced with a lot of challenges when it comes to filmmaking. And I remember sort of at the climax of the film, it was the week before I had to fly back home to America because they were shutting borders down, the school was being shut down, we weren't sure. So it was interesting how the film almost mimics the process, and how like when it was at the sort of, because it's a horror film, and when it was at the scariest point, it was like our team was kind of having to leave and we weren't sure what was going on. And then I finished the rest of it here, which we were very fortunate that the story, the last 40 seconds take place in a completely different set. So I was able to just make a different set for the last 40 seconds and film it in my garage.
That's
So
certainly a case of life imitating art then.
yeah.
On the flip side. But yeah, and very much, I suppose, as well for you, like a time stamp of this particular, last few months as well, and something, to be very proud of as well in terms of meeting those challenges and getting it filmed and getting it ready for the deadline and submitted, for example, for Cinemagic. So it's great just to hear that and just get that insight, because I always think that, you learn so much when you do hear about people's stories. Sort of lifting the lid on the actual final product of the film. So super, thank you, Emma, that's brilliant. Okay, over to Karlton now. Hi Karlton, thanks a million for joining us.
Hi there, you right?
Yep, all good, thank you. Again, congratulations on being shortlisted as part of Young Filmmaker. Can you tell us a little bit about your film and what inspired you, and I suppose the process of how it came to be?
Yeah, so like my film it's a really short film, it's like 2 minutes long, and it was mainly inspired by like old Looney Tunes shorts. So it's like kind of like really horror in a way. Well, not really horror, it's like just a comedy overall. And I'd say like my inspirations were like, well, the main themes for it was like Karma trying to get back to this old man because this old man's really horrible to his robot, and the robot's basically getting revenge on him. So it's kind of like telling the audience that, if you're negative and you're just bad to people, it's gonna kick you in the butt later on, in a way.
Super, and I think too a great achievement, getting that across in a 2-minute film, because for everybody it's a great achievement, because a short film is sometimes more challenging to produce and to keep it, within a limited duration as well. And then is this something, in terms of animation, are you very much interested in pursuing animation filmmaking as a career?
Oh yeah, like this whole project was basically me kind of like building my skills and like trying to get better in like traditional animation, because I wasn't really that good at it before, and I just kind of wanted to spend the entire year of my 4th year just like improving my character designs, like my timing, pacing and all that. And I just wanted to focus on making a really short film instead of making another 7-minute film like I did last year.
Yeah. Yeah, well done on achieving that. That's brilliant. As I said, it's just really sort of heartening for us too at Cinemagic to see the wealth of talent, you know, among young people across the UK and Ireland, and we're very much about nurturing that talent and signposting you to other opportunities, and that's why we're very keen this year to embrace the online platform of the festival to be able to showcase your films in a different way and hopefully to reach new audiences.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.